I'm Serge Carrera, lecturer in the program of the Master New Luxury and Art de Vivre of Sciences Po in Paris. Luxury is a magic word. Everyone has a view on what luxury is or not. Some will describe it as a feeling. Others will consider an object or an experience. It will be too restrictive to define luxury as only what is not needed. As a matter of fact, it is a cultural expression beyond immediate needs. Luxury is defined through a combination of various elements: the quality, the identity, the use, the price, the desire, the scarcity. We'll focus on one of its most singular dimensions: time. The fact is that the idea of luxury combines individual and social representation. It generates a temporal mutability of luxury. Luxury is a quest for perfection, an appreciation of know-how and culture, and an aesthetic vision. If luxury evolves with society, its values are lasting. There is a kind of paradox in this. It has to be of all times and timeless at the same time. There is no past we can bring back by longing for it. There is only an eternal now that builds and creates out of the past something new and better, says Goethe. Luxury is rooted in the past, but it should not be nostalgia. Past means heritage. A luxury product has an history. The vocabulary of luxury includes crafts, myths, icon, and excellence. However, if luxury doesn't evolve, it could become dusty and old. What makes a brand relevant? How does it resonate nowadays? Beauty in things exists merely in the mind which contemplates them, states David Hume. The eye changes, and then luxury changes. Luxury expresses the desire to beautify life. It could be considered as the pursuit of an absolute beauty. It is something extraordinary, which means something not common. It has a dreamy touch. Aesthetic is a major element to turn luxury attractive. However, luxury is a business of offer, not a business of demand. That is why it could be sometimes pushing the boundaries. Despite its strong roots in the past, luxury is a game changer. In order to be in a constant attraction relationship, it has to reflect today's customers' expectations: authenticity, transparency, sustainability, and inclusivity. Those values are at the core of the luxury concept. Lasting is one of the characteristics of luxury. It juxtaposes the different temporal dimensions. It doesn't mean luxury has to be futuristic. Nevertheless, what makes it so special is the fact that it remains always relevant despite trends. The craft, the myth, and the design make a luxury product durable. It brings also a personal emotion, as it is a meaningful object. A bag, a ring, a scarf, or a watch can be transmitted from one generation to another one. Moreover, by essence, luxury embodies bold and perennial values: quality beyond aesthetics, legacy beyond desire, emotion beyond ownership, and creativity beyond trends.
I am Annie Chaud, marketing professor at HEC Paris. In this video, we are going to talk about the importance of conveying values for luxury brands today. Let's explore why commitment towards society has become prominent for luxury brands and how these brands are evolving in response to changing clients' expectations and societal demands. The luxury industry is undergoing a continuous transformation. No longer is it sufficient for brands to simply create extraordinary products. No longer is it sufficient to accompany these products with extraordinary brands or to make customers live extraordinary experiences. Luxury must now demonstrate purpose, values, and social responsibility. This shift represents both a challenge and an opportunity for these brands to redefine their role in society. Our discussion will focus on three key areas. First, the evolution of customer preferences, from owning products to embodying values. Second, how luxury consumption reflects the extended self and personal identity. And third, the necessity to transition from extraordinary products to meaningful values. Research demonstrates a significant shift in consumer perspectives. In 2013, merely 44% of customers believed corporations should take social stands. 10 years later, this number had surged to 88%. This evolution proves particularly significant for two reasons. First, it demonstrates not just growth, but a fundamental reversal in consumer expectations, from social responsibility being a minority preference to an overwhelming majority demand. Second, the rapid pace of this change suggests an urgency for brands to adapt. The shift signals a complete transformation in how society views the role of corporations, especially in the luxury sector, where brand values and customer identity are closely intertwined. The data suggests purpose-driven consumption has evolved from a niche preference to a mainstream expectation. As mentioned before, this transformation presents both a challenge and opportunity for luxury brands that have traditionally focused on product excellence and exclusivity. The new mandate is twofold: to embody exceptional values that resonate with conscious consumers, and to demonstrate tangible, meaningful implementation of these values. The traditional strengths of luxury brands, attention to detail, commitment to excellence, positions them uniquely to lead this evolution, provided they can successfully translate these capabilities from product creation to value creation and societal impact. The relationship between luxury and identity has evolved beyond simple status signaling. Luxury consumption is strongly associated with the extended self. Consumers use luxury brands to acquire, create, preserve, and reinforce their identities. And luxury brands serve as instruments of identity expression and personal narrative construction through two key mechanisms. The first one centers on a facet of materialism and societal meaning of consumption. Possessions reflect characteristics of their owners within society, serving as visible markers of personal values and aspirations. Recent findings showed the same effect in the case of experiences. This goes deeper than traditional conspicuous consumption. It's about using brands as tools to communicate one's worldview and ethical stance. When customers choose a brand, they're not just buying a product. They're making a statement about their values and position in society. The second mechanism focuses on self-congruity, the alignment between brand and personal identity. Consumers actively seek brands whose image matches their self-concept or aspirational self-image. They make purchasing decisions based on the perceived congruency between their individual identity and brand values. And consumers assess the capacity of brands to help them communicate on their own identity. In this dynamic, luxury consumption moves away from a simple transaction into an instrument for identity creation and expression. Brands become aspirational vehicles reflecting consumers' existing identities, as well as instruments that help them construct their desired identities. This evolution requires luxury brands to transform from craftsmen of products to architects of content. Success demands delivering not just exceptional products, but authentic narratives backed by concrete actions that consumers can incorporate into their identity expression and adopt as part of their extended self. Brands must evolve to enable transforming consumption into a meaningful expression of individual and collective identity. The future of luxury transcends ownership. It's about representing meaningful values and creating profound connections that resonates with consumers' social consciousness. This requires multiple transformations, such as establishing transparent supply chains, demonstrating verifiable environmental and social commitments, and developing economic value through sustainable practices. I am Anne Michaud, Marketing Professor at HEC Paris. In this video, we are going to intend to redefine the statu quo on sustainability. The concept of sustainability has gained increasing attention in recent decades, but it has also become a buzzword often misused or overgeneralized. At its core, sustainability and sustainable development are defined as the ability to meet present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. This foundational definition, introduced by the Brundtland Commission, emphasizes long-term persistence and remains the most widely cited interpretation of sustainability. Another prevalent perspective frames sustainability through its three pillars: environment, economic, and social systems, each requiring simultaneous optimization. This perspective encourages companies to re-examine their activities across the supply chain, aiming to minimize negative impacts while maximizing positive outcomes. Pursuing sustainability can provide multiple benefits. First, companies recognize the potential for upside benefits, including increased revenues, reduced operational costs, and lower risks. Second, efforts to cut waste and reduce resource consumption can directly improve profitability. Finally, adopting a values-based approach can attract top talents, enhance brand reputation, and build trust with customers and stakeholders. Research underscores several compelling dimensions of corporate responsibility towards sustainability. First, there is a moral obligation for companies to engage in sustainability. This means businesses have a duty to operate in ways that respect and protect the planet, its resources, and its people, acting as responsible stewards of shared ecosystems. Second, sustainability is deeply tied to the concept of a license to operate. Companies, beyond serving their customers, require tacit or explicit permission from governments, communities, and stakeholders to function effectively. Operating sustainably strengthens their social contract, ensuring that businesses contribute positively to the societies and environments. Third, there is a strong reputational advantage to sustainability. Companies that embrace meaningful sustainability initiatives enhance their brand image, boost employee morale, and increase trust among consumers and stakeholders, which can translate into tangible benefits such as increased market value and stronger customer loyalty. Advocates often emphasize the importance of aligning corporate actions with the business activities. Illustrating this, Guerlain has a long-standing commitment to bee conservation, reflecting the bee's emblematic significance to the brand. The Guerlain 4Bees conservation program addresses supply chain issues, protecting the precious honey production of black bees. But Guerlain's engagement goes further with social impact programs related to their deep commitment to bees. Brands are increasingly adopting a broader perspective on their responsibilities, embracing a holistic vision of their role in the sustainability of society rather than focusing solely on the business they operate. While effort to enhance activities through more sustainable products, innovative packaging, improved traceability, reduced carbon footprints, and circular economy initiatives remain central to brand commitments, it is equally essential to consider the broader environmental and social impacts of their operations. A truly forward-thinking approach integrates these tangible efforts with a deeper commitment to fostering positive societal change and addressing systemic environmental challenges. Historically, companies that were overly product-focused failed to respond to customers' evolving expectations. In today's context, businesses must extend this principle to society at large. Beyond merely meeting consumer demands, companies must manage society's expectations, engaging with non-customers, communities, and broader stakeholders to gain acceptance and trust. It is not about framing business and society as being in tension, but about recognizing their deep interdependence. Companies thrive when society thrives, and acknowledging this interconnectedness is critical to long-term success. In conclusion, the responsibility of companies towards sustainability must be envisioned with a broad scope. Brands should move beyond transactional sustainability initiatives to embrace deeper engagement and commitment towards societal well-being. By adopting a truly holistic vision, businesses can redefine their role by moving from sustainability of their operations as participants in the economy to engagement and commitment towards society as key contributors to a future for all.
My name is Felicia Henderson, and I'm a lecturer at Sciences Po Paris, where my main course focuses on corporate governance. I have also taught comparative equality law, introduction to organizational behavior, and a course on inequality and social change. In this talk, I give a brief overview of equity, diversity, and inclusion in organizations and offer some suggestions for how you can foster equity and inclusion in your workplace or future workplace. First, I'll define the concepts equity, diversity, and inclusion. You've perhaps heard the three words together, or the acronym EDI or DEI, but each term has a distinct meaning. Diversity refers to demographic difference, or the ways that people differ from each other. We speak about identity characteristics or dimensions of diversity. Race, ethnicity, and gender are common in discussions of diversity, but they are only a few of the characteristics that distinguish one person or group from another. Other dimensions of diversity include religion, sexual orientation, age, national origin, physical ability, socioeconomic status, and many others as shown here. While diversity looks at numbers, inclusion looks at an organization's culture and climate. In an inclusive workplace, all individuals feel welcome, respected, and valued. No employee's identity characteristics create an advantage or disadvantage to that person's feeling safe to be who they are and enjoying a sense of belonging, support, and empowerment. Finally, equity is about fairness based on an individual's varying life experiences. It is not equality if we limit equality to mean identical treatment. Instead, equity means creating fair access, opportunity, and advancement for all, which requires identifying and removing barriers that exist for some demographic groups and reforming policies, processes, and procedures that perpetuate unequal outcomes. These concepts help us understand the array of challenges and solutions related to equity, diversity, and inclusion. Now let's understand why they matter in business and why they should matter to you, regardless of your identity characteristics. First, promoting greater EDI is simply the right thing to do. The emotional and psychological benefits, particularly for employees who face discrimination or hostility in the broader society, convince many organizations to promote inclusive workplaces, representative leadership, and equitable processes as a moral imperative. Additionally, research increasingly demonstrates that prioritizing EDI is a business imperative. It's the smart thing to do. Tangible benefits include attracting and retaining talent, boosting creativity and innovation, making better decisions, and improving financial performance. A few statistics. In one study, companies with diverse leadership were more likely to achieve above average profitability. 25% more likely for the most gender diverse executive teams, and 36% more for the most ethnically and culturally diverse executive teams. In another study, where employees believe the organization is committed to diversity and feel included, reported performance improvements included a 31% increase in responsiveness to evolving customer needs, a 42% increase in team collaboration, and an 83% increase in ability to innovate. Despite proven benefits, equity, diversity, and inclusion remain underdeveloped in business. In addition to systemic challenges, a major individual-level obstacle is bias and stereotypes. It is well established in social psychology that we prefer people who are similar to us, a phenomenon known as in-group bias. Conversely, we tend to view dissimilar people unfavorably, known as out-group bias. The dimensions of diversity I discussed earlier are often used to define the in-group and out-group. Another consequence of this categorization is out-group homogeneity. Rather than evaluating out-group members as individuals, we harbor stereotypes that assign the same negative qualities to all people who share an identity characteristic, like gender, all women, or ethnicity, all Black people, or physical appearance, all overweight people. Out-group bias and stereotypes often operate at the unconscious level, but have profound impacts on the way we evaluate and interact with other people. They can thwart efforts to hire and promote demographically different people, and even organizations that achieve workforce diversity often fail at inclusion. A Harvard Business Review article reminds us that increasing diversity does not by itself increase effectiveness. What matters is how an organization harnesses diversity. So I'll close by explaining how you can help your organization harness diversity in a way that promotes greater inclusion and consequently better performance. Being aware that outgroup bias exists and we are all prone to it is an important step. As with all cognitive biases, the more aware we are, the better we are able to recognize and challenge our own assumptions. Being open to difference and learning helps counteract exclusion. One of the quotes I live by is, "Everyone is not you." Our perspectives are shaped by our unique identities and experiences. When we are open to multiple perspectives, we're better able to exchange ideas and information and learn collectively. Finally, when you observe inequity or exclusion, you can act as an ally. Allyship refers to behaviors ranging from interacting more intentionally with underrepresented individuals to consciously supporting such employees by amplifying their voices, highlighting their contributions, and recommending them for visible opportunities. Advancing equity, diversity, and inclusion is hard work, and progress requires all of us to share in the work. I provided a few resources for you and wish you good courage on your personal EDI journey.
I'm Hélène Valade, in charge of the environmental strategy at LVMH at group level. And I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about sustainability. I suppose that no matter what country you work in, you can see problems with the environment, whether it's biodiversity or climate. We live on a planet whose natural resources are being depleted mainly due global warming, climate change. These issues concern and impact LVMH. Why? Because all our products come from nature. No champagne without grapes, no perfumes without flowers or plants, no dresses without cotton or silk. But we can do something. We are taking action with Life 360, our new environmental strategy. Life 360 is composed of 4 concrete action plans on circular economy, biodiversity, traceability and transparency, climate, with objectives to be reached in 2023, 2026 and 2030. Our first action plan is about circular economy. Our objective is to reduce the environmental footprint of our products. How? With eco-design products, with new innovative raw materials, with recycled fibers, products which can be given a second life, with repair services or new services like Nona-Source that resells unused fabrics. Our aim is to disrupt codes of beauty, to make the sustainable desirable. The second action plan is about biodiversity. Our objective is to limit our impact on biodiversity. We exclude, for example, products that come from regions at high risk of deforestation or water stress. But we have also the objective to have a positive impact, giving back to nature what we borrow from it. We have an ambitious objective of rehabilitating 5 million hectares in fauna and flora habitat by 2030. To do that, we are focusing on regenerative agriculture, that is, new agricultural practices having the potential to reverse biodiversity loss. The third action plan is about traceability and transparency. Our objective is to guarantee a perfect traceability from the field to the stores. We need to know countries from which our raw materials are sourced, and we need to ensure that social, ethical, environmental principles have been respected throughout supply chains. That is why in Life 360 we have this target of 100% of our strategic supply chains being certified at exacting standards by 2030. the last action plan is, of course, about climate. Our objective is to limit our carbon footprint with lighter packaging, more renewable energy, more road and sea transport. We are committed to reduce CO2 emissions from energy consumption at our sites and stores by 50% by 2026. We are also committed to reduce CO2 emissions from Scope 3, that is from transport and raw materials, by 55% by 2030. We are the leader in luxury sector. We must also be lead in environmental issues. The high quality of our products is also a high environmental quality. Our capacity to influence our suppliers, our clients, is very strong. It must be put to the service of the planet.
him grew up in different countries around the world. For him, it's very important to give back something to nature. We wanted to work with the NGO Parley from the oceans.
A big part of what we do is to intercept plastic from nature, to turn it into new products.
C'est la première fois qu'une maille a été créée avec le fil Ocean Plastic. Ça a été challengeant au niveau de la couleur pour justement avoir une palette qui soit uniforme.
This is silk polyester.
Ça, c'est une pièce qui est 100% Ocean Plastic.
That is 60% plastic from the sea.
I think the old idea of everything has to be perfect right away is wrong. It's all about changing a culture, and that takes time.
Il y a une technique de tissage qui s'appelle le chiné. On va teindre un par un chaque fil et ensuite on va venir faire une séquence de tissage qui permet de travailler ce motif en profondeur.
I believe that fashion has the role to turn everything upside down.
Je suis Marie Falguera.
Je suis Romain Brabo.
Anne Prieur-Dupéret,
entrepreneur chez Nona Source.
J'ai assisté au stockage des matières, qu'on adore appeler les belles endormies chez Nona Source. J'avais envie de les réveiller et dans ce cadre-là, j'ai réfléchi à une solution qui puisse permettre de les collecter, de les expertiser, de les revaloriser et de les remettre à disposition à travers une plateforme.
Nona Source est une plateforme sur laquelle les jeunes designers peuvent s'approvisionner à des prix très compétitifs de matières exceptionnelles qu'on a choisies au sein des maisons LVMH.
Parce qu'on veut vraiment révolutionner un petit peu le sourcing et on sait très bien que la relation à la recherche de matière pour les jeunes créateurs est très sensorielle et on a beaucoup travaillé l'expérience du touch and feel pour pouvoir rendre un rendu digital le plus beau possible en travaillant sur les photos, les vidéos, toute la qualification des matières.
Un des grands enjeux de Nona Source, c'est la digitalisation de l'achat et du sourcing matière. Donc quand nos designers viennent sur le site, c'est extrêmement important qu'ils soient capables de repérer directement les tissus qui les intéressent. Et ensuite, une fois qu'ils viennent sur la fiche produit, il faut qu'ils aient toutes les informations nécessaires à l'achat sans forcément être obligés de le toucher.
Donc aujourd'hui, on a racheté un stock exceptionnel à une des maisons françaises du groupe LVMH qui représente environ 150 000 mètres, ce qui pourrait permettre de faire à peu près 75 000 vêtements et de soutenir une centaine de jeunes créateurs et jeunes marques.
Donc on a construit une relation de confiance avec l'entrepôt, les transporteurs. Et ça c'est essentiel parce que pour que ça dure dans le temps, pour que ça soit pérenne, il faut toutes ces relations.
Nona n'est pas incubée toute seule dans son coin. C'est une start-up accompagnée, coachée par le programme d'entrepreneuriat de LVMH. Ça nous permet d'avoir de l'impact, de pouvoir faire bouger les lignes.
L'avenir de Nona, c'est de devenir une plateforme circulaire, innovante et engagée vers une mode plus éthique.
Et de devenir la solution de sourcing préférée de la jeune création en Europe.
Sans gaspillage, c'est un vrai enjeu aussi pour les générations futures. Et quand on est une maman, on peut être fier en fait de dire à ses enfants qu'on travaille sur ce type de projet.
I'm Sandrine Sommer. I'm Chief Sustainability Officer at Moet & Cie, the Wine and Spirit division of LVMH since 2020. As an engineer in packaging, I joined LVMH in the Packaging and Development Department, at first Moet & Chandon, then Makeup Forever and Guerlain. Few years later, at Guerlain, I was given the opportunity to lead the sustainability. Since then, I continued in this field. As a global leader in luxury wine and spirits, with so many iconic maisons, Moet & Cie has a special responsibility towards its stakeholders and towards the planet, from soils to communities. our original founders strive to be responsible actors, and this is our mission to nurture this heritage and to ensure we maintain the right balance between our business activities and the needs of nature. In 2020, when I joined Moet & to lead the sustainability, our maisons had already met many things regarding environment and society. However, we decided to structure our commitment, define a common vision, and accelerate to become an inspiring leader in the wine and spirit industry, which means having a positive impact on the planet, answering consumers' new expectations, and engaging employees and communities. We created a dedicated sustainability program called Living Soils, Living Together, which brings Moet & C's commitment to life. It's a program which meets expectations of LVMH environmental and CSR's program. Living Soils, Living Together is structured around 4 key pillars and set objectives for 2030. The first pillar is about regenerating soils, which means to become a benchmark for sustainable agricultural practices and achieve 100% supplies from regenerative agriculture sources. The second one is mitigating our climate impact. We aim to reduce our CO2 impact by 50% versus 2019 with the scope 1, 2 and 3, and to reduce our environmental footprint. The third one is about engaging society, as we want to be recognized as a committed leader and to play a positive role for our stakeholders and the society as a whole. The last, but not the least, is empowering our people. We are committed to attract and retain world-class diverse talents by being the most inclusive and engaged organization possible. 4 years later, also the journey is still a long way to go, we have also made great achievements. Regarding regenerating soils, we are conscious of the need to protect our complex ecosystem, and we know our viticultural and agricultural methods can make a real difference. That's why we've worked for many years following strict guidelines and have achieved the most widely recognized local environmental certifications. Today, we accelerate our actions through policies such as pursuing the reduction of chemical inputs, restoring and fostering biodiversity, and preserving water resources. What's more, we engage our partners by sharing their best practices for sustainable and regenerative agriculture. For example, almost 100% of our own vineyards are certified by the highest standards in viticulture. In 2023, Château Galupé was certified organic, and Terrazas de los Andes and Chandon, Argentina, reached the regenerative organic certification. 100% of our own vineyards is under pilot projects in regenerative viticulture, such as cover cropping, viti or agroforestry, and creating ecological corridors. To go even further, we created in 2022 a 2-day international forum called the World Living Soils Forum, which brings together all stakeholders committed to soil health. Water stewardship is also a big challenge for some of our vineyards, especially in Argentina, where water stress is high. It means we need to go further than what we have already set with drip and precise irrigation to reduce our water consumption. We work hand in hand with WWF to achieve a global reduction of 30% of our water consumption worldwide by 2030. For example, we started to test regenerative hydrology in Spain with Numancia and in France with Château Galupé. With the determination and commitment of our teams to these environmental, social and societal responsibility issues, we look forward to making positive change together.
Christelle Capdupuis, leading the Sustainable Development Department for Louis Vuitton since 2018. At Louis Vuitton, we launched in September 2020 our sustainable roadmap called Our Committed Journey, with a social roadmap aiming to impact positively society and an environmental roadmap aiming to preserve natural resources. Our environmental goals are to responsibly source all our raw materials, to fight against climate change through an ambitious action plan to decrease our carbon emissions, and to deploy circular creativity processes. And we do that through quantified objectives towards 2025 and, of course, align with Life 360 commitments. Our first stake is to responsibly source all our raw materials. So we are aiming to reach 100% of the raw materials we are using to be recycled or environmentally certified by 2025. At the end of 2022, we already reached 78%. Second objective that we have is to erase the use of single-use plastic for our packaging. By 2022, we already decreased by 43% the volume of this plastic in our packagings. Our second stake is to fight against climate change. So in July 2021, we've been validated by the Science Based Targets initiative to be part of the PAS 1.5 program to decrease our carbon emission. So we've got the ambition to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees, and to do that, we've got to decrease our carbon footprint by 55%. At the end of 2022, we already reached minus 25% in this decrease. So we got some targets also for this carbon emission reduction. We are supporting these commitments with two main objectives. The first one is to equip all our stores in the world with LED bulbs, which are emitting less carbon because they are using less energy. Last but not least, we also want to run all our warehouses and workshops in the world with renewable energy. End of 2022, we already reached 70% of the energy used in these workshops and warehouses to come from renewable energy sources. Our third stake is to deploy circular creativity processes for all our products, windows, fashion shows, and events in the world. So we are targeting that 100% of our categories of products will be committed to this eco-design process through a life cycle analysis measurement, meaning that we're going to measure the environmental impact of all our products by 2025. At the end of 2022, we already reached 60% of our categories of product to be committed to this eco-design process. Last but not least, we are also aiming that 100% of the materials we are using for our windows, fashion shows, and exhibition will be whether recycled or coming from environmentally certified processes. And at the end of 2022, already 90% of the materials we are using for our fashion shows are whether recycled or environmentally certified. We have been advancing since 2020 on the path of sustainable development through the objectives of our committed journey. And after 2 years, we felt ready to embrace a more holistic project to strengthen our positive contribution on a global scale beyond our own value chain. That's why, in line with Louis Vuitton's objective of preserving natural resources, we have signed, beginning of 2023, a 5-year global conservation agreement with a non-governmental organization, People for Wildlife, to work together on protecting and regenerating biodiversity in a 1 million acres area in the Queensland, in the north of Australia, with its local community. People for Wildlife is an Australian-based NGO focusing on the preservation of biodiversity, which specifically aims to preserve key conservation lands around the globe. Created in 2020, this NGO is led by Dr. Daniel Natouche, who is a world-renowned conservationist expert, member of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, who's been living and working there during his PhD. This project contributes to the LVMH target of restoring 5 million hectares of flora and fauna habitat by 2030, and to the recent objective of the COP15 dedicated to biodiversity to protect 30% of the emerging areas in the world. Concretely, we will be directly supporting scientific research in the field. We will be monitoring wildlife species and understanding how to control invasive species. We will also be working on contributing to carbon sequestration by controlling fire and restoring habitats. And last but not least, we will be closely working with the local community to create sustainable economic models for nature-based materials. As a conclusion, we do believe at Louis Vuitton that it is our absolute priority to contribute positively to the environment, both inside our organization and beyond our value chain, by fighting against climate change and deploying a regenerative approach of nature.
Dear all, I am Cécile Lechard, Global Sustainability Director at Parfums Christian Dior. I joined the group nearly 10 years ago with an experience at Guerlain until end 2023 in the same position. As one of the leaders of the luxury beauty industry, our mission holds us accountable, guiding our priorities and actions regarding sustainability. Christian Dior was a creator, deeply inspired by nature and flowers. As a result, biodiversity preservation is a fundamental pillar of our CSR roadmap, encompassing our climate trajectory, eco-design and eco-formulation, women's empowerment, talent engagement, craftsmanship and cultural heritage. As part of our biodiversity pillar, Parfums Christian Dior aims to restore ecosystems through sustainable sourcing, regenerative agriculture, and large-scale nature conservation projects. The Maison promotes regenerative agriculture, a holistic agricultural approach inspired by natural ecosystem for both its iconic gardens and natural ingredients, as well as commodities such as alcohol and glycerin. We support our suppliers by engaging a panel of experts to assess the positive impact of these new practices on soil health, biodiversity, and water management. Parfums Christian Dior Maison has always been closely linked to Grasse throughout its history. Indeed, since 2009, Parfums Christian Dior has partnered with Les Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse, an association that has contributed to the revival of regional activity for a new generation of farmers committed to the family farming model and sustainable practices. In 2023, the Maison introduced a major assessment project with its partner growers in Grasse, focusing on crops, soil health, and biodiversity. This ambitious project, conducted on 17 flowers cultivation plots, identified many best agricultural practices, resulting in high regeneration scores. These results were achieved through practices such as permanent cover cropping, control input use, and moderate soil disturbance such as tilling. They also open the way prospects for action plans to further improve these scores. Similarly, alcohol and glycerin, our primary natural origin raw materials in terms of supply volume, are carefully selected from non-exclusive partners dedicated to the beauty sector. These two ingredients account for over 50% of the composition of our fragrances and cosmetic formulas by volume. Our objective is that by 2030, 50% of these strategic raw materials will come from organic, regenerative, or other sustainable sources, with the ultimate aim of reaching 100%. Beyond practicing responsible agricultural and cultivation methods, Parfums Christian Dior is conscious that protecting biodiversity also requires restoring wild spaces, enabling the return of plant and animal species essential for ecosystem regeneration. That's why, since late 2023, the Parfums Christian Dior Maison is proud to sponsor a WWF project for the preservation and restoration of large spaces in France, North America, and Mexico through an umbrella species protection approach, an approach inspired by our Sauvage fragrance, part of Dior's DNA. An umbrella species is one that requires a large habitat, and its protection consequently protects all the plant and animal species sharing the same environment. Preserving an umbrella species helps maintain the entire ecosystem, serving as both a regulator and an indicator of its vitality. Big cats are solitary animals with hunting and breeding territories spanning several dozen kilometers, making them perfect examples of umbrella species. The goal of the WWF and Parfum Christian Dior Alliance is to restore the fertility of these vast species and biodiversity corridors, foster ecosystem regeneration, and encourage the return of animal species that had disappeared. This will allow wild nature to recover its biodiversity, strength, and beauty. In France, Parfum Christian Dior supports a program for the preservation of 50 hectares of forest habitat in Jura, Vosges, and Vercors mountains. The Maison also contributes to a study of the Eurasian lynx population and threatened species, which is an indicator of biodiversity in these forests. In North America and Mexico, Parfum Christian Dior finances the preservation and restoration of 15,000 hectares of large spaces and natural corridors to revive biodiversity. We particularly hope the return of jaguars, whose population is threatened with extinction due to human activity. In conclusion, I hope you have gained insights into biodiversity challenges, particularly in the luxury beauty sector. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, I'm Katarzyna Wiśniewska. I have been managing corporate social responsibility at Sephora Europe and Middle East for the last 4 years. In my job, I deal with social and environmental impacts related to our retail activities, as well as with products proposed by our brand, Sephora Collection. Today, I would like to present you the key challenges we are facing in terms of sustainability. When you think Sephora, obviously you think about beauty products we sell. The impacts related to product ingredients, manufacturing, and packaging is the most important part of our environmental footprint. Additionally, to sell those products, we need stores, beauty advisors, we run e-commerce activities, deliveries, marketing, and promotions. All these activities we could qualify as retail operation, and this is another significant source of our environmental impacts. Sephora's sustainability strategy is the response to current environmental challenges. We are committed to reduce our carbon emissions, to reduce waste with particular focus on packaging and plastic, and we commit to offer more and more sustainable products and services. Our initiatives are aligned with LVMH ambition framed by Life 360 program. What type of initiatives we put in place? As we have an important number of stores, it is key to act on energy consumption. We can do it via more efficient LED lighting systems, via more sober use of air conditioning, heating, and minimum use of energy beyond opening hours. To reduce CO2 impact, we made choice of using renewable energy contracts. Last winter, within a couple of months, Sephora reduced its energy consumption by nearly 20%. This performance has been awarded by LVMH as the best energy saving plan within the group. Simultaneously, it has been chosen as the best 2022 green project by Sephora employees. That result and this recognition are very encouraging for our teams who actually made this plan happen. The same approach can apply to store deliveries. In France, 1/3 of stores are delivered by electric trucks and another half by natural gas-powered vehicles. We have also decided to manufacture our major retail elements like shopping bags, uniforms, gift boxes in Europe to limit transportation impacts. If we look at packaging side, the priority is reduction. For example, a new e-commerce solution is to ship small beauty items in envelopes rather than big boxes. We can also collect our retail decoration and transform them into new resources. Tomorrow, we hope to be able to recycle them to produce our own gift boxes with all collected cardboard. Beyond handling our own direct initiatives, the superpower of Sephora as a retailer is to influence brands and consumers. We can promote less overpacks or more sustainable solutions like refills. Via Good for Sustainable product selection, we are guiding our consumers to take more responsible choices while shopping at Sephora. By activating the whole Sephora ecosystem, we can drive sustainable change in beauty. Working on sustainability requires strategy, commitments, and concrete action plan. But this is also about people's passion and individual contributions that the results are brought to life. My biggest personal satisfaction is that today at Sephora, we have an active community of employees that feel engaged, that take actions, and progressively change our company's culture. As a future employee, do not hesitate to become yourself the real change maker. I believe this is how we will get to a more sustainable future together.
I began my career at Tiffany in 1983 as a summer intern, going into my junior year at the Rhode Island School of Design, and then graduated from RISD in 1985 with a degree in jewelry design. In 1987, Tiffany offered me a position in the custom design department, which I was thrilled to accept. And since that time, I have loved every moment of my 36 years with Tiffany. I believe that it is the sum of all of the positions that I've held during this time that led me to become the Chief Gemologist and Vice President of High Jewelry, Diamond, and Gemstone Acquisition in 2020. In addition to custom design, I worked in the Diamond Lab for 4 years as a grader, and during that time received my graduate gemology degree, and most recently, before becoming Chief Gemologist, was Vice President of High Jewelry Category Management and Product Development. My main mission as Chief Gemologist is to procure the most beautiful gemstones and diamonds in the world to adorn our jewelry collections, all of which are responsibly sourced and have full traceability. Additionally, I'm a spokesperson for the house, as well as support our VVIP clients at global high jewelry events. At Tiffany & Company, sustainability is not just a commitment, but rather an integral part of our house identity, something that lies at the heart of everything we do. With a 185-year heritage, we believe that it is our responsibility to be at the vanguard of sustainable luxury. We pride ourselves on the responsible sourcing of materials and prioritizing ethical practices that positively impact both the environment and local communities. Responsible sourcing at Tiffany means supporting human rights, fair labor, and environmental conservation. Tiffany's Social and Environmental Accountability Program, SEA, aims to embed responsible sourcing practices into our supply chain. Through this initiative, we replace a traditional audit approach and directly engage with suppliers, which contributes to high performance across our supply chain. Our dedication to sustainability extends far beyond the initial creation of our pieces. At Tiffany & Company, we believe that love, as well as our jewelry, should stand the test of time. One of the biggest challenges the diamond industry faced was diamond traceability. Tiffany has been deeply committed to offering the highest social and environmental standards, so transparency and conducting our business in a responsible way is something that our clients expect from us. In 2020, we became the first global luxury jeweler to disclose full craftsmanship journey of our diamonds from the region or countries of origin where the stone was mined to where it was cut, polished, and graded, and then set. As part of our diamond craft journey, we work to ensure that responsible practices take place every step of the way. In communities around the world, mining and trading colored gemstones is a cultural tradition and source of livelihood passed down for generations. Approximately 80% of the world's colored gemstones come from small-scale, artisanal mines spanning more than 40 countries, and the industry is highly complex, making it difficult to trace a gem's origins. Tiffany & Company uses strict protocols for sourcing the approximately 60 varieties of gems used in its jewelry. And we are helping set industry standards that account for the realities of the supply chain while seeking to increase transparency and traceability. Tiffany & Company collaborates to create standards and share best practices to promote responsible gemstone supply chains. In 2015, Tiffany joined others in the luxury jewelry industry and colored gemstone mining sector to form the Colored Gemstone Working Group, which has developed due diligence tools, training materials, and other resources for the colored gemstone sector. Through industry partnerships and philanthropy, Tiffany and the Tiffany & Company Foundation also support a range of stakeholders, from miners and traders to cutters and polishers, to help the colored gemstone sector support sustainable livelihoods in places around the world where people depend on it. The subjects regarding sustainability and traceability is continually evolving, and it's one of the most exciting parts about my position. But one thing will remain constant: my mission of finding the world's most exceptional diamonds and colored gemstones and leading our industry in sourcing them in an ethical fashion will be even more important in the future.
Hello everyone, my name is Séverine Pinault and I am Supply Chain, Sustainability and Logistics Director at Fendi. I joined Fendi 4 years and a half ago and I am located in Rome in Italy. Before joining Fendi, I had worked in various supply chain and logistics positions at Christian Dior Couture for more than 10 years. 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to expand my scope and to drive the Fendi sustainability strategy. I felt really excited by this new challenge as I have a true sensitivity to that topic in my personal life. At the same time, I measured the responsibility I had, considering the rising awareness and pressure on that topic. I'm convinced that overseeing supply chain and sustainability together is a strength. As supply chain director, I have a key role of interface between all functions: industrial, product, merchandising, logistics, with a wide picture of the business. This role of interface helps me daily to manage more efficiently our global sustainability roadmap. At Fendi, together with my team and with the support of the top management, we strive to build a sustainability strategy aligned with LVMH Life 360 roadmap and characterized by a pragmatic and a transversal approach. As an example, each member of the management committee has a clear objective on sustainability among their annual objectives. As you may know, LVMH Life 360 is based on 4 pillars: creative circularity, biodiversity, climate, and transparency. Why transparency? Because Fendi is best in class among LVMH fashion brands. Why Fendi is best in class? As we are working every day to build a more responsible supply chain, we think we can be confident to be transparent and, for example, to disclose the full list of our suppliers. As a Roman luxury maison, as a maison representing the Made in Italy worldwide, the preservation of the Italian craftsmanship, synonymous with tradition, quality, excellence, is at the heart of Fendi commitments. At Fendi, 98% of our products are made in Italy, and we are proud to have built a supply chain almost entirely located in Italy, based on collaborations with hundreds of highly skilled artisans. Another testimony of Fendi's strong commitment to support the Made in Italy is our investment on the Italian territory. 2022 was a special year for Fendi, with the opening of 2 new state-of-the-art factories: a leather goods factory integrated in the hills of Tuscany, and a shoes factory in the center of Italy. These factories are key assets for Fendi, but even more important are the artisans. One key mission of Fendi is to recruit, to train, to develop the next generation of highly skilled artisans. For example, we are proud of our internal Fendi Leather School to train our new joiners. We have our internal factories, but we have as well a lot of external suppliers, and we want to ensure the same level of environmental and social standards. To support this commitment, we have built an extensive monitoring program to support not only our first-tier suppliers, but as well our second-tier suppliers, the suppliers of our suppliers, in partnership with an independent auditing company. In 2022, 83% of our production is coming from audited suppliers. Let me first explain what is the Fashion Transparency Index. Fashion Revolution is a movement that was created in 2013 further to the Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh, pushing fashion luxury brands to be transparent on their social and environmental practices all along their supply chain. They have created the Fashion Transparency Index to promote transparency and accountability in our supply chain. Why at Fendi are we committed to be best in class in the Fashion Transparency Index? First, we see it as an opportunity to question ourselves on our practices and the practices of our suppliers. Second, it is becoming a must-have, a strong expectation from all our stakeholders. Our clients do not want to know only where it is manufactured, but how it is manufactured, what are the raw materials we use, where is it stitched. How does the Fashion Transparency Index work concretely? It covers 250 indicators on 5 pillars. For example, we need to answer to what are the policies and commitments for our employees, but for our suppliers' employees. How is organized the governance of people in charge of social and environmental performance? Do we communicate the list of our suppliers? How do we monitor our suppliers? What do we do with our unsold products? Where are we today at Fendi? In 2020, we were at the same level as the other LVMH fashion maison, mainly relying on LVMH communications and reaching a score at 20-25%. End of 2020, we did a big step ahead with the creation of our sustainability website and the publication of the list of all our suppliers, allowing us to reach 43% in 2021. In 2022, we continued to enrich our website and we reached 53%, being second luxury brand. In 2023, we hope to reach an even higher level. The next big challenge on which we are working at Fendi is to bring this level of transparency and traceability not only at our company level, but at each single product level. I would like to finish by sharing a thought with you. Whatever is your function, your position within the company, from marketing to production, from retail to finance, from legal to IT, sustainability commitments, social and environmental commitments need to be integrated in your daily job. Better to be prepared for it.
I'm Professor Carole Collet, and I'm the director of Maison Zero, the Central St. Martin's LVMH creative platform for regenerative luxury. I'm based at Central St. Martin's in London. In this video, I will show you a range of design strategies that address some of our critical ecological challenges via a creative lens. Whilst there are many different approaches, my message for you today is that we need to accelerate our environmental actions. We need to go beyond the idea of sustainability, where too often the focus is simply on minimizing impact. I will argue that we now need to transition to regenerative design practice that helps replenish our climate, our biodiversity, and our communities. So first of all, why are we speaking about a planetary emergency? There are two key critical challenges I want to address today. First, the rapid decline of our biodiversity. In the past 40 years, we have lost nearly 60% of our wildlife population. We know that at least 1 million species are at risk of extinction because of human activities, yet we depend on other species every day. Think of how insects pollinate the food we eat. Ecosystem services are critical for our own survival, and we've taken them for granted. It is now urgent that we reverse our biodiversity rapid decline and help replenish our ecosystems. So how do we design to nurture and replenish our biodiversity? It is a new paradigm for us designers. The second critical challenge is climate warming. The International Paris Agreement Treaty requires that we limit our climate warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius increase compared to pre-industrial time. We now have 8 years left, as of 2022, to halve our carbon emission. A very difficult task. The time to act is now, and whilst it is a tough challenge, it also opens up new creative opportunities for us. So a key question for design is how do we integrate impactful carbon sinking strategies in the creative process? Clearly, business as usual is not an option, and a creative sector like others will need to respond to these critical challenges. So I will now show you some examples of some of our projects where we explore new ways to adopt ecological principles in the creative process. I will start with a series of projects produced in collaboration with the Master of Biodesign and the LVMH Environment team. These were presented at the IUCN Congress on Nature in 2021. This is Algalip by Eleonora Rombola. Algalip is a prototype for a new lipstick 100% made from algae. The lip balm, the colorant, and even the packaging are made from algae. Here, the designer chose to explore the potential to create a monomaterial product made with one biological ingredient. By using this approach, she succeeded in removing petrochemicals which emit carbon and are normally used in lipstick production. The benefit of this concept is that algae eat carbon and release oxygen as they grow. A win-win scenario, potentially generating a carbon-negative lipstick. Here is Accessories, a project by Cassie Quinn, designed to address the issue of textile dye wastewater, which is toxic for aquatic life. Here, Cassie uses a natural polymer called chitin, extracted from waste oyster shells, to filter dye wastewater. At the end of the process, the chitin self-assembles in a biopolymer film, which is then used to produce biodegradable sequins. This results in clean water and a new biomaterial that can be used to replace oil-based plastic sequins. By thinking in systems, Cassie combines the byproduct of a food system with the byproduct of a textile waste stream to achieve a nature-positive outcome for both textiles and aquatic life. Around the world, our intensive farming models have depleted our soils. Today, we understand that we need to transition to new forms of agriculture. With his project, Rhys Hundreds developed a series of biome fruits designed specifically for the Champagne terroir and engineered to host local, endemic, beneficial insects and microorganisms. Informed by permaculture principles, these pods are designed to be hung amongst the vineyards, and in addition to providing bespoke insect habitats, they will release seeds and nutrients to regenerate the soils throughout the year. The outcome is a family of products designed for multi-species that can help champagne production transition to a regenerative system. And finally, I will show you another project developed in collaboration with the LVMH Environment team. Here, the brief was to develop new nature-positive materials for luxury stores. Our designers, Brigitte Koch and Irene Roca-Morazia, chose to create tiles made from materials derived from two invasive species, the Japanese knotweed and the American signal crayfish. One of the causes of our biodiversity decline is invasive species that take over the resources and habitats of local species to the point of threatening them, thus creating major collapses in ecosystems. By developing a new use for these two species, we can incentivize further their removal and help ecosystems recover. Again, here we can see that the starting point for the creative process is the regeneration of an ecosystem. And the final product, in this case a collection of tiles, is the consequence of that regenerative process. I will now conclude with 4 key learnings. We need to design for a more than human world. We need to learn from nature and adopt bio-informed creative strategies. We need to integrate system thinking in our creative process and consider the act of design as part of a web of life. We need to transition to a regenerative culture where design can actively reverse socio-ecological damage. Now it is up to you to engage with a form of creativity that nourishes our world. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Mungar, and I'm the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the LVMH Group. I'm a citizen of France and Chad, but I truly feel like a citizen of the world, as I've had the privilege of living in various countries, from Europe to Africa and America, working across the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. I started my career in the US, where I worked for 10 years in retail and distribution in New York and completed my master's degree in Boston before moving to Switzerland to join the World Economic Forum and start working on issues of women and youth empowerment. After that, I moved to Côte d'Ivoire to lead the Department of Gender, Women and Civil Society at the African Development Bank and work on women empowerment across Africa's 54 countries. In parallel, I had the opportunity to join the G7 Gender Equality Advisory Council to advise our G7 leaders on best practices to fight inequalities based on gender and origins. I joined LVMH 2 years ago to lead our global efforts on diversity and inclusion at group level. My role is to lead the implementation of our global roadmap, to coordinate our actions towards common goals, and to create synergies amongst our maisons to share best practices. We are committed to fostering an inclusive culture in which all of our stakeholders, starting with our talents, but also our partners and our clients, feel welcome, respected, and represented. It is not only the right thing to do, we strongly believe that it's a source of creativity and performance. Animated by this vision, we have set clear and measurable global objectives, starting with our talents, to achieve parity, 50% of women in all key positions and salary equity, to employ 2% of people living with a disability by 2025 and 5% as a long-term goal. We work on these targets through the active engagement of our human resources community and special initiatives, spanning from recruitment and training to salary equity and career development, and we closely monitor progress. For instance, through the LVMH program, we aim to accelerate the professional development of women across the group. In 15 years, the percentage of women in key positions rose from 23 to 45% in 2022. Beyond our targets at group level, we work closely with our 75 maisons to stimulate innovation and impulse impactful initiatives aligned with their cultures, their sectors, and their DNA. We rely on a vibrant community of experts working in each of our maisons and driving progress on diversity and inclusion. Each year, we recognize the best initiatives implemented by maisons through the Inclusion Index, which is our tool to capture our impact and measure the change we operate through all our actions. Diversity and inclusion are interconnected. They need to work together to be real change makers. Diversity is a fact. It refers to the variety of unique individuals that make a team diverse. Differences between individuals can be visible, such as gender or skin color, but also invisible, such as our personal backgrounds, countries we have lived in, life experiences that shape who we are as individuals and help us bring diverse perspectives to the table. It is that diversity that makes our business more creative, more innovative, and stronger every day. Diversity, however, is not enough to create an inclusive corporate culture that leads to performance. Culture is made up of the daily actions of every one of us in the group, and that is actually captured in our motto. We're diverse by essence, inclusive by choice, and it's everyone's business. Our notion of an inclusive culture is one where everyone feels empowered to contribute and thrive, regardless of their background. Above all, we want to reflect the reality of our markets and offer development opportunities to all that are based solely on merit and skills. Diversity and inclusion is cross-cutting to all our business. We're diverse by nature with 190 nationalities, operating in more than 80 countries and with 4 generations at work. Our maisons have a wide breadth of métiers, and the group is represented in all the luxury sectors. So we have 3 main pillars of action. Number 1, people, which is about ensuring inclusive practices into the entire employee journey. That spans from recruitment processes, free of any forms of discrimination, to equitable career development opportunities for all. We develop specific training programs for recruiters, of course, but also for all our talents, such as the unconscious bias e-learning that is available to all our talents across the group. We also rely on our amazing employee networks around the world. LVMH, our women's network, All LVMH Pride, our network for LGBTI+ inclusion, and LEAD for LVMH employees of African descent. These groups of talents from these communities and their allies come together to support each other, to learn from each other, and they work with us as business partners to further drive a culture of inclusion within the group. Number 2, partners. We extend this vision through our entire supply chain by ensuring that the partners we work with are aligned with our values and principles for impact through our wider ecosystem. We also encourage our maisons to proactively diversify their supply chains to ensure that underrepresented groups are part of our journey. Number 3, image. We want to make sure everyone feels represented and respected from our marketing campaigns to our store experience. We also amplify and advocate for the promotion of diversity and inclusion through our global communications, putting the spotlight on our engagement and reflecting the diversity of our talents, sectors, and métiers. Our maisons also strive to represent the diversity of our clients and reflect the plurality of the world while mirroring the local fabric of societies. When talking about diversity and inclusion, there's no one-size-fits-all. Our role is to ensure that our core values and global commitment resonate around the world, but it is crucial to adapt specific initiatives to local contexts. The past few years have seen a momentum on topics of diversity and inclusion around the world, and we must ensure that it is not only sustained, but leads to concrete actions and systemic change in terms of equal access to opportunity for all, not only in our organizations, but also in societies around the world. At LVMH, people make the difference. We all have a role to play, and to be inclusive is not a luxury, it's a choice, and it's everyone's business.
My name is Corey Smith, and I'm the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for North America for the LVMH Group. I've worked in DEI for over 20 years, starting in supply chain diversity and expanding the scope of the role to all business functions of a company, including HR, sales, operations, marketing, and brand engagement. I've worked in a variety of industries from technology, education, consumer packaged goods, entertainment and media, sports, and now luxury goods. I joined LVMH 4 years ago to lead our North America efforts on diversity, equity, and inclusion at the group level. Diversity and inclusion is at the heart of LVMH values. The LVMH values of innovation, creativity, excellence, entrepreneurship, and a commitment to positive impact are directly aligned with diversity and inclusion. At its core, diversity and inclusion is about leveraging differences to produce better results. What I mean by that is people with different and unique backgrounds, characteristics, skill sets, experiences, and levels of expertise all working together to drive innovation and creativity because they all contribute different ideas. Homogeneous thinking drives sameness, not innovation. It is the diversity of thought that allows innovation, creativity, and excellence to thrive. By being inclusive of diverse thought and allowing individuals to be entrepreneurial in their thinking, we commit to a more positive impact, not only for the business, but for the communities where we operate, as well as society as a whole, because it will have included the thought processes and perspectives from people from all walks of life. Now, what is important to note is that diversity of thought is born out of physical diversity. It is born not only out of our physical attributes, but also the physical spaces and environments we are in throughout our lives. So, your exposure to more or less physical diversity directly correlates to how diverse your thinking can and will be and its application to corporate culture. The same principle holds true for LVMH. We are diverse by nature and inclusive by choice. The diversity of our maisons across different business segments drives good business and profitability. The diversity, excellence, and entrepreneurship of our workforce, including business leaders, creative directors, and manufacturing talent, all allow for innovation and business relevance. The only way this works is if we continue to include diverse voices and perspectives in our business process. The DEI journey for LVMH has been one of commitment to inclusion and equity. This commitment is not a recent one. It began with our LVMH commitment to create a more inclusive workplace for women well over 15 years ago and continues today. As we saw success on the gender journey, it has recently afforded us the opportunity to commit to replicating that success across other dimensions of diversity, such as LGBTQIA+, people with disabilities, and race, ethnicity, people of color. In some respects, the issues are the same, which is ensuring there is inclusion, equity, and the opportunity to exceed your potential for all of our talent at LVMH. I'm happy to report that in all of those areas we are making progress, and in some cases we have already achieved and exceeded our goals here in North America. We understand this is a permanent and long-term commitment because we believe it has true business value. So even as the narrative around DEI has changed somewhat in recent years, our commitment to creating a more inclusive place for our talent and clients remains. Above all, we want to reflect the world that we live in, the customers that we serve, and the employees that work for us. Working with the different Maisons has been inspiring because they each have nuances about their brand that provide for different types of corporate cultures. Understanding the brand heritage and savoir-faire has been instrumental in ensuring that there is success from a DEI perspective. One of the exercises at Maison level that we have been successful with was reviewing the uniform and grooming guidelines of the retail talent. In looking at ways to be more inclusive of our talent and creating a workplace of belonging, a review of some of our policies has been necessary. Guidelines around gender identity within our uniform policies, grooming related to hairstyle and hair texture, or grooming aesthetics based on skin tone have all elevated the work experience of our retail talent to allow them to be more authentic at work and therefore feel more comfortable, which in turn increases their productivity, their sense of belonging and dedication to their Maison, and ultimately the overall business. We also have several trainings that we now offer around DEI to help our talent become more culturally agile as it relates to working with colleagues, but also related to our client experience in the stores. Training on unconscious bias, workplace inclusion, and inclusive leadership are part of our DEI learning and development curriculum. As we continue to have a more diverse workforce, it is critically important that we have leaders that know how to lead diverse teams through cultural agility and empathy. To foster an environment of equity, entrepreneurship, and innovation, we must remain relevant in an evolving and changing world. At LVMH, people make the difference. We all have a role to play, and to be inclusive is not a luxury, it's a choice, and it's everyone's business. We view DEI as a component of social responsibility and therefore a social right. We also understand the value for our business and how it drives our business forward. We know creating an inclusive organization is not only beneficial to our talent and how we recruit new talent, but it also drives our client engagement and experience and therefore our business growth. Internally, creating an environment where our talent is valued for their authenticity and expertise is at the core of our values. And we know that it will drive our business productivity via the innovation and creativity that diversity of thought will organically trigger. Simultaneously, ensuring that our external storytelling covers diverse perspectives helps our global image and keeps our clients engaged and loyal. Diversity, however, is not enough to create an inclusive corporate culture that leads to performance. Culture is made up of the daily actions of every one of us in the group, and that is captured in our motto. We are diverse by essence, inclusive by choice, and it's everyone's business. Our notion of an inclusive culture is one where everyone feels empowered to contribute and thrive regardless of their background.
Hello, my name is Kai Chen, and I have the privilege of leading diversity inclusion for LVMH across Asia Pacific. This isn't just a professional role for me, it's deeply personal. Growing up in rural China, becoming the first one in my family to attend university, and then pursuing a PhD in Hong Kong, I have lived the journey of navigating different cultures and identities, experienced firsthand of power of opportunities, and the barriers that can stand in its way. My career began in academia, shifted to banking, and now at LVMH. I bridge my passion for people with the transformative potential of luxury. One lesson has stayed constant. When we embrace diversity, we unlock extraordinary potential in individuals, in teams, and the communities we serve. Asia Pacific isn't one market. It's a mosaic of cultures, economies, and social realities. This diversity is our strength, but it also means corporate social responsibility challenges here are uniquely complex. One issue close to my heart, social mobility. Ensuring that where you start in life does not dictate where you end up. In luxury retail, where craftsmanship and creativity thrive, we have a responsibility to open doors for talents from all backgrounds, because true innovation happens when diverse perspectives collide. At LVMH, we believe every person deserves respect, dignity, and fairness. No exceptions. We are committed to making sure everyone, no matter their background, feels valued and empowered to contribute. Our APAC strategy aligns with our global vision, but adapts to local nuances, driven by 3 pillars: capability, equipping leaders to champion inclusion because change starts at the top; talents. We are talent makers, especially focusing on further elevating women and local talents. Culture. Inclusion isn't just a program. It's how we embed respect in everything we do every day. At LVMH, diversity inclusion isn't nice to have. It's the key to staying relevant in a region that's rewriting the rules of luxury. One initiative I am proud of recently is our Cultural Respect Workshop series. It has trained over 900 leaders using case studies and role plays in the workplace to identify disrespectful behaviors and speak up with confidence and model behaviors that safeguard the group's culture. The magic happened when we unite for a common goal, collective vision and local action to drive change at scale. When a client advisor in Seoul or a designer in Shanghai feels empowered to speak up, that's when we know it's working. Our employee resource groups are where passion meets purpose. Think of them as grassroots communities led by employees and for employees. Employee resource groups play a crucial role in promoting inclusion, fostering a diverse workplace culture, and driving positive change within the organization. In Asia Pacific, our 16 ELG chapters across disability, LVMH, as well as LVMH Pride are driving real impact by creating various initiatives throughout the year. For example, our LVMH communities host regular breakfast meeting series with senior female leaders to provide career mentorship as well as sponsorship for talents across Maisons and markets. Our disability inclusion community facilitates disability etiquette workshops to equip employees with knowledge and skills to interact effectively with colleagues who have disabilities. Those aren't just feel-good projects. They serve as a forum for problem solving and innovation, while offering support, understanding, and connectivity. Our focus on diversity inclusion extends to a much broader community and society. We can't do all of this alone. How we do business, engage with community, and partner with organizations matter, and will ultimately influence our communities at large. For example, in Hong Kong, our talents mentor students from underserved schools with Inspiring Girls. In Singapore, we collaborate with SG Enable to make their workplace more accessible for all. These partnerships remind us luxury isn't just about what we create. It's about the legacy we leave in our communities. The future of diversity inclusion in the luxury industry in Asia Pacific hinges on 2 words: authentic representation. APAC is home to the world's most dynamic, young, and digitally savvy consumers. Gen Z and millennial consumers here, they don't just buy products, they buy values. Culturally, Asia isn't a monolith. Each market has unique traditions, beauty standards, and values. One critical opportunity is to equip teams with cultural intelligence to ensure clienteling and in-store experience resonate authentically, from Bangkok to Chengdu. Our opportunity to redefine luxury as an industry where every talent and every consumer feels seen. My ambition for LVMH Asia Pacific to be the gold standard for inclusive luxury. That means we need to be even more intentional and persistent, baking diversity inclusion into the entire talent cycle, from hiring to succession planning, accelerating representation at the senior levels, elevating women and local talents into creative and decision-making roles, leveraging luxury as a force for change, scaling partnerships with universities and community organizations by providing access to opportunities to nurture the next generation of diverse talents. To me, diversity and inclusion is like crafting a haute couture piece. It requires intention, persistence, and heart. At LVMH, we're not just building a more inclusive business. We are shaping a more inclusive world. And that's a legacy worth creating.
Based upon the success that we have found hiring individuals with disabilities, I truly believe that any and every business could benefit from this program. I'm the general manager of this beautiful distribution center that we refer to as the WDC. So we do have a goal of hiring 30% of our full-time individuals and employees with people who have disabilities. We've been live and operating for about 2.5 years, and that's allowed us to achieve roughly 38 full-time heads, which is roughly 15 to 16% of our overall full-time head count. I had some skepticism coming into this role, but ultimately the excitement outweighed those uncertainties.
The primary focus of the program is that we partner with the state. And with the state, we have a 9-week training program, which gives the individual with a disability more time to learn our core job functions in distribution centers. And if we see the need for a reasonable accommodation, we will put that in place. You know, right now our accommodations are geared mainly towards our deaf associates, but we've had to do things like put visuals up for someone on their picking cart or give noise-canceling headphones in certain areas. And then as long as someone is successful, they will automatically get a full-time spot at Sephora, earning equal pay for equal work.
My counselor, he was really instrumental to get me this job. We can pay our bills and have a few bucks extra to be comfortable, and I never dreamed that this would ever happen. How you doing?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I mean, we find here at Sephora that these individuals who have disabilities are incredibly performance-driven because they're very focused, they're very appreciative of the opportunity that Sephora has afforded them, that unfortunately many other companies don't afford them. It's actually quite astonishing to see the entire population of a distribution center of this size really come together and rally around the incredible DNA that this program has. I think without this program, we would be a distribution center shipping products. But with this program, it's something so much more than that.
Si on m'avait dit, Fatima, en 2021, est-ce que tu t'aurais vu à la Sainte-Maritaine? Ma réponse, non. J'ai intégré le groupe LVMH en 2016 en contrat de professionnalisation via le Pôle emploi. Mon handicap, c'est sourd d'une oreille gauche. Pour entendre des instructions ou pour être à l'écoute, je préfère le dire et être plus vigilante le maximum.
Le programme de formation en alternance des personnes en situation de handicap du groupe LVMH a été lancé en 2014 par la mission handicap du groupe sur les métiers de conseiller de vente et de gestionnaire de stock. C'est des personnes dans ce programme qu'on va recruter, pas du tout sur la base de leur CV, c'est pas un recrutement classique. On va chercher à explorer tous ces potentiels et c'est pour ça que les 2 ans d'alternance, c'est ce temps qui va permettre à tout le monde de prendre ses marques, de prendre confiance.
Ça va Fatima, t'es sur la réception?
Reprendre le système scolaire, oui, ça a été très difficile. Mais voilà, d'avoir un bac pro à 40 ans, c'est une grande fierté et une grande victoire.
Fatima, c'est un bel exemple de réussite. Il y a 5 ans, c'était quelqu'un qui avait très peu confiance en elle, qui avait parfois un peu peur de communiquer autour de son handicap, parce qu'elle avait peur que ça puisse la pénaliser. Aujourd'hui, elle est épanouie, elle est complètement intégrée dans les équipes et on est très fiers de l'avoir avec nous.
C'est une maison qui vous valorise beaucoup, qui vous remet en confiance. Être en CD, oui, c'est un grand soulagement. Pour moi, surtout à mon âge, 44 ans, et voilà. Je peux souffler un grand coup là.
There are gestures you learn, others you pass down, and some you must protect. A few years ago, Benjamin would never have imagined setting precious stones for the prestigious Maison Chaumet in Paris. Today, he's an apprentice stone setter. Every day he learns patience, precision, and how to master the perfect gesture. A few hundred kilometers away in Rome, Michele holds his brushes with the confidence of a true master. As a virtuoso makeup artist at Sephora, he reveals the beauty in each face and teaches others the right techniques. Benjamin is just starting out. Michele is already an expert. But they both share the same pride, being part of LVMH's Métier d'Excellence, holders of precious savoir-faire that the group is committed to pass on, value and preserve. That is exactly why Benjamin took part in the You and Me event in Paris, followed by Michele a few weeks later in Rome, a unique event to discover the savoir-faire of our maison and the people behind them, a place where vocations can be revealed and careers can start. In 2025, the You and Me tour traveled to 6 cities in France and Italy and welcomed over 10,000 visitors. A tangible sign of how Métier d'Excellence LVMH is committed to pass on savoir-faire to a new generation of talents. Benjamin is learning so he can become an expert. Michele is sharing his skills so he can train others. And both of them, like the 100,000 people working in Métier d'Excellence around the world, carry a precious savoir-faire.
C'était un terrain de jeu inégalable et une expérience de folie.
Et c'est là que je me suis dit, je suis sur la bonne voie, je dois vraiment continuer et avancer encore plus loin.
In 2014, LVMH founded the Institut des Métiers d'Excellence to transmit its savoir-faire to the younger generations. Frédéric Bodenès, who hosted a masterclass, and Emily Laberoussias, a former apprentice, give us 2 great perspectives of the initiative.
Je suis donc Frédéric Bodenès, directeur artistique et image du Bon Marché Rive Gauche à Paris et de la Grande Épicerie de Paris. Mon rôle au niveau de ces 2 maisons, c'est d'imaginer des histoires pour les faire vivre et de les mettre en scène.
Je suis Émilie Laberoussias, je suis actuellement première main au sein de l'atelier Christian Dior Haute Couture Floue. Je fais partie de la promotion 2016-2018 de l'Institut des Métiers d'Excellence pour la formation CAP Vêtements Flous.
Il L'IME, c'est aussi un magnifique tremplin pour les étudiants pour qu'ils puissent se réaliser dans une des maisons du groupe. C'est une école en alternance dans des écoles renommées comme l'école du Perret avec laquelle moi je travaille beaucoup et les maisons du groupe LVMH.
C'est une formation qui a été créée par le groupe LVMH pour faire perdurer tous les savoir-faire qui sont en train de disparaître au fil des décennies.
L'anecdote que je pourrais souligner lors de cette masterclass, c'est peut-être le sujet. Je les ai fait travailler autour du bonheur parce que pour nous, on est des faiseurs de bonheur. Je leur ai demandé de travailler autour d'une expérience liée à leur savoir-faire. Cet exercice n'était pas anodin parce que je voulais qu'ils prennent en compte que la finalité première de leur travail, c'était vraiment de donner du bonheur aux gens. Les réponses ont été super riches, super multiples, que ce soit une rencontre autour d'un produit, une dégustation ou encore une expérience à vivre.
Il y a eu un moment très inspirant pour moi au sein de l'IME. C'était lors d'une masterclass à réaliser en petits groupes. Et le thème était les 70 ans de la Maison Dior. Et du coup, nous avons imaginé une robe vraiment qui met en valeur les formes et la sensualité du corps de la femme, ce qui a été extrêmement intéressant et même inspirant. C'est l'échange que j'ai eu avec mes camarades qui venaient de chez Givenchy et de chez Louis Vuitton, tout simplement parce que ça donne une autre image, une manière de visualiser autrement son métier, avec les techniques et les savoir-faire d'autres maisons et d'autres personnes, et ça c'est extrêmement inspirant. Et le moment qui a été très intense en fait lors de cette masterclass, ce fut le jour de la présentation. Et avant même que je rentre en fait sur scène, les photos ont suffi pour créer une énergie, vraiment un enchantement de la part du public. C'était vraiment très spontané. Je les entendais dire « Waouh, c'est beau !» et j'étais même pas encore rentrée sur scène. J'entendais tout des coulisses et je me suis dit « C'est super, je suis vraiment sur la bonne voie. Vraiment, il faut continuer à y aller encore plus loin. »
Ce que j'ai essayé de transmettre lors de la masterclass, c'était quelque part le bonheur, quelque part la chance d'avoir tout d'un coup un métier créatif qui nous donne des ailes et qui nous permet de nous exprimer librement, de prendre la parole autour de la création, même si elle se traduit par un produit ou par autre chose qui est lié au commerce. Et leur montrer également l'importance de ces métiers dans le groupe, ces métiers qui font la différence, c'est-à-dire ces métiers de création.
Hello, my name is Mary Belli, and I am the Chief Human Resources Officer for Tiffany & Company. In this role, I'm responsible for developing and executing the people strategies that support Tiffany's global business plan and growth goals, and that nurture the talents of our over 16,000 employees around the world. I'm proud to say that I've worked at Tiffany for nearly 25 years. I joined Tiffany & Company in 1999 as a human resources representative. From there, I progressed steadily through a broad range of both specialist and generalist roles in the Global Human Resources Division, spanning corporate, retail, and new ventures. In 2013, I took on a global mobility assignment overseeing HR for the Tiffany EMEA region. I was promoted to Vice President in 2017, where I served as the Senior HR Business Partner to the executive leadership of our corporate, creative, and operations functions. I was promoted to my current position of CHRO in the summer of 2021, following the acquisition of Tiffany by the LVMH Group. As with LVMH, at Tiffany, we are passionately committed to the idea that our people make the difference, and I am honored to serve as our people leader. At Tiffany & Company, a strong commitment to sustainability and social responsibility are at the heart of everything we do. As a company whose DNA is entwined with the notion of love, we feel a special responsibility to care for our environment and make a difference in the communities where we live and work. Two prominent examples of our social commitments are the Tiffany & Company Foundation and Tiffany Atrium. The Tiffany & Company Foundation, which recently celebrated its 25th anniversary, has a mission to helping to preserve the world's most treasured seascapes and landscapes. Since the year 2000, the foundation has awarded over $100 million in grants to nonprofit organizations working around the world in this capacity. The foundation supports organizations dedicated to the stewardship of natural resources in the areas of responsible mining through mediation and land preservation, as well as coral and marine conservation through support for marine protected areas and raising awareness about the importance of coral reefs. As examples of its work in responsible mining, the foundation has supported the cleanup of abandoned mines across the American West and has protected 10 million acres of ecologically rich and culturally significant lands. The foundation has also been instrumental in the reclamation of abandoned diamond mines in Sierra Leone by supporting Resolve, an organization that works with local communities to restore these lands for viable agriculture use through the Peace Diamonds Restoration Initiative. In coral and marine conservation, the foundation has supported the protection and promotion of coral reefs in over 30 countries around the world, with locations spanning from Hawaii to the Caribbean, Australia, and the Coral Triangle. Additionally, the foundation has supported the creation and implementation of over 30 marine protected areas, protecting more than 11 million square kilometers, equivalent to the size of the United States, across the world's 5 oceans. Tiffany Atrium is our platform for social impact. Launched in July of 2022, Atrium stems from our deep commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. From its inception, Tiffany has had a profound connection to the arts, creativity, and innovative design. In fact, the house established a design apprenticeship program in the 19th century to foster and leverage creative talent. In recognition of this legacy and our responsibility to the future, Tiffany is committed to building a more equitable and inclusive jewelry industry. With a focus on people of color, women, and the LGBTQIA+ communities in the fine jewelry and creative fields, Atrium guides Tiffany's engagement with diverse communities, philanthropic strategies, and community partnerships to ensure that all energies and efforts are deeply intentional and bring long-lasting and transformative change. As one example of our Atrium program in action, we recently launched the Breakfast at Tiffany's program for those starting out in their careers. It's a behind-the-scenes tour where early career professionals from underrepresented backgrounds can experience Tiffany & Company's world-class service and get to know the teams behind the brand. We also engage with our local communities. We have a long-standing relationship with the Lower East Side Girls Club to build a career recruitment pipeline. We work with historically Black colleges and universities to provide educational and professional opportunities for students in those communities. To date, more than 100 students have received scholarships totaling over $2 million as part of this initiative. We also partner with North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University to create a curriculum for students in these creative industries. Craftspeople are a critical part of our business. As such, we've developed an apprenticeship program as part of the LVMH Métiers d'Excellence Institute, where we focus on recruiting and uplifting women and underrepresented groups to this field of work. The apprentices have received thousands of hours of mentoring by our skilled Tiffany craftspeople to better refine their skills and pass on the savoir-faire of jewelry making. After successful programs in New York and Rhode Island, we're looking to expand this program to other parts of the United States and eventually globally. Tiffany & Company is committed to being a leader in sustainable luxury. We are proud of our achievements to date and are excited to continue to expand our efforts to make a meaningful difference for our planet and our communities.